Shalom. Good evening from Israel. Good morning from California. I really do love the internet because it's helped us connect and help me with the show and help me meet people like you. My name is Dr. Tovah Goldfine. This is TMS Roundtable Center and streaming live. I am thrilled. I knew about you before, and rapid recovery. And then one of my clients said to me, "Should I speak to this guy?" And then I met you, and tell your wife, you're just a baby doll. You're a sweetheart. You're a real sweetheart. And so I am thrilled to be sitting next to you. Fred Amir, such a beautiful name, Fred Amir. You don't have any initials after your name, but you are smart and charismatic and really I would like to write a book, and you've written like 3. So I am honored to have you sitting across from me to talk about the rapid recovery program. Wait, I want to put this on. Wait, I'm juggling a few things here. Hold on. So the rapid recovery from chronic pain, and I'd even say autoimmune symptoms, because I feel like they're in the same place, the same journey, the same pathway at the bottom, So enough about me. I want you to speak about, you were in pain, you struggled, you suffered, you were in a wheelchair, and you unfolded into this incredible journey. And now you've been for 30 years helping others.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Amazing. So from soup to nuts, I want to hear all the details.
Well, Tovah, let me say it's an honor to be here on TMS Roundtable Global, and thank you for carrying on the work and continuing to reach people and helping them out, because all we hope, if one person watches this or any of our reads anything we wrote or watch anything we did and gets out of pain, and they can play with their children, walk without pain, work without pain, and travel, we've done what we needed to do.
Fred, there's the field. The field. We're helping others by just doing this. The field is, it's fascinating. It's another, when we get Bruce Lipton on the show, we'll talk about the field. But we are healing each other and others. So go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to initially just tell you what happened to me and my discovery of TMS. One day I woke up from a short nap and I'm like, oh, I had this annoying back pain. I'm like,
how many years ago?
32 and a half years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was like, where did this come from? I thought something, maybe I twisted my back to the, sometime earlier. And that's what they always tell you. They say, well, you have this back pain now. What happened a few weeks, few months earlier? And you're thinking, how could have that happen? I had no pain then. And then the pain showed up after I woke up from a nap or woke up from sleep or some other.
I'm going to have you slow down, because at the time you were also a father of 2 young children.
Mm-hmm.
And so just there were a lot of things going on in your life at the time.
Yes. Very, it's a time of responsibility, time of a lot of things to be concerned about, to be worried about, to deal with. A lot of challenges in life in those years. In fact, there's a national study done in the US where they found that majority of people, 75% of those with back pain, are between ages of 25 and 49.
Wow.
And there's a spike at age 65, which is the retirement age for most people in the US.
Wow. Interesting fact.
Yes, those life changes and those life challenges can bring on physical symptoms like back pain.
Wow.
So when my back pain started, I ignored it for a while and it wasn't going away. My wife said, well, why don't you have a check to go see a doctor? And with TMS, as soon as you pay attention to it, it can get worse. So I went and saw a doctor. He said, well, looks like you got a strained back muscle. Give me an exercise, which I did, which made my pain worse. And 3-4 days later, I woke up, my right leg was numb.
Wow.
I thought I had a stroke. And I thought, wow, I've never had anything like this before. I got up, I tried to walk over. It was tingling, numbness, pain. And that was the beginning of part of the 25 months of pain and disability, 5 months of which I was basically in bed most of the time.
Wow.
So eventually that became a pattern where I would sleep, wake up to neck pain. I would sleep, wake up to shoulder pain. I would sleep, wake up to left leg having sciatica. Now, with both legs having sciatica, I was basically walking like this. I couldn't really bend my knees. Then I was having knee pain in both knees, and that's how I couldn't even do anything. I couldn't barely walk. And I ended up being in bed, which whenever I got up, I relied on my upper body strength, just push down to get up. And pretty soon I was having pain and
So what
numbness.
did the doctors diagnose you?
Well, like anybody else with these conditions, of course, I was very concerned. I started going to many doctors because, frankly, with all those restrictions and pain, I could barely walk a minute or two before my right leg would lock up. I couldn't even bend it. I could barely go up 2 steps. I could barely bring a glass of water to my mouth. And you know what was the most painful part, Tovah?
You couldn't.
I had toddlers. I couldn't even play with them. I let them hug me. I was just like, oh, too much pain, too much pain, too much pain.
So sensitive. So what emotions did, first of all, were you even thinking about your emotions in the beginning? Because you had no idea until you talked to Dr. Sarno. Like, were you thinking, I'm scared? What were you thinking?
Well, honestly, it's a challenge. It's a difficult time of life because last thing you expect, I was about 29, 30 years old at the time. And I'm like, why is it happening to me? I was a young guy. This was happening to me. So you're kind of in
another increase in pain. Why me? What's happening to me? I'm a victim. Yeah. Something. This is also part of the cycle of, like, we go deeper without even realizing we're hurting ourselves because we're not aware. So so you start seeing doctors. They can't find anything wrong with you. They
did. They found they diagnosed me with herniated disc, with osteoarthritis, with facet syndrome. I think 7 or 8 different diagnoses.
Osteoarthritis?
It is very common, believe it or not, to have it. But as many studies, I'm not getting into the studies, but a lot of treatments actually made my pain worse. And that made me start looking for answers. Before that, I was leaving my treatment to others. Then I said, I need to take charge or I'm going to get worse. So at that point, I would go to my doctors and I ask them questions that seemed easy to answer. Like, I go to the office, I go to the physical therapist, and I see a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm like, why so many young people get this? Why do you sleep? You wake up to pain. It didn't make sense. I mean, sleeping seemed to be the most dangerous thing you could do. And then they told you, you need to have strong muscles. If you strengthen your muscles, you won't have pain. I had done so many different exercises to strong. And I'm like, do you have to be as strong as Arnold not to have any pain? And those good body mechanics tell you, sit this way, don't turn that way, be careful, lift. Well, I saw people never had back pain. They never followed any of those, and they were fine. So something wasn't working. And the more I asked doctors and therapists, they just gave me shrug shoulders. I'm like, that's how these back pain is. So I decided to do my own research. I started looking at as many books as I could read. This is before internet was so common. So I would do a lot of research on my own.
Yes, and 30 years ago. 30 years ago, you said.
30 years ago, yes. And maybe I would have found the answer faster if Dr. Google was around.
Well, Google, there's a bittersweet thing to Google. You know that. But go ahead.
Yes,
what happened?
That's true. So I discovered that, for example, surgery is a U.S. government study of 10,000 cases of back pain, and they found that surgery has a 1% success rate.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's Dr. Hanscom's work, but anyway.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So wait, you began discovering these things because, like I said to you in our prep call, like something in your mind was like pushing you towards, like, I need to get an answer. Like you were exploring, and you're exploring in the right direction.
Right. Right.
As opposed to the fear mode.
I believe that, and my main life question is, what can I learn from this experience?
Wow.
And how can I help others with it? So anything
even while you were in pain, you were thinking about, what is the meaning of this for me? This is this is a key. This is a key in some of your positive, steps of recovery. It's like, if you don't mind me chiming in, it's like, why is this happening? How can I use this to serve me? How can I get on the other end of this? Because I'm not going to negotiate with this. How can this serve me? How can I win? Right. How can I get beyond this? So it's an interesting mindset, because it's so hard to not feel like a victim with chronic pain. So you had constant pain. You didn't get relief. Nothing gave you relief.
I call them micro movements because I had to move very slowly. Otherwise, pain would be too much. Sometimes I wake up in the morning. Yes. Sometimes I wake up, I think maybe it's all a nightmare. I'm going to get up. It's all done. As soon as I moved, I'm like, oh, and I had to have a pillow between my legs, a pillow under my arm.
Obviously knew back then about the fear pain cycle. You were like, okay, I'm not going to fear this. I'm going to, like, you obviously knew back then because you would have never got out of bed if you had kept with the fear. You understood something there.
Well, something you have to do, like going to the bathroom. Well, it's just something with pain you have to do. And that was actually good with my recovery because I realized all those times when I had to push against the pain, I survived. I didn't become
good point.
That was helpful later on. That was helpful.
Good point.
When you have to go see the doctor and you have to sit in a car, very uncomfortable, in pain for 15, 20 minutes, then sit in the waiting room another 15, 20 minutes, an hour, and you like come back in more pain and you realize, but after it, I survived. So I continued with my research. And for example, a lot of people don't know this. 3 separate studies have clearly shown that cortisone shots are no better than saltwater shots. No better.
Oh, no.
Yes, they give cortisone shots to people all the time. In fact, I have these mentioned in my book, but also I made 2 short videos called Pain Facts Most Doctors Do Not Tell You. So if you go to Amir.
Yeah, I saw it. It was amazing. Yeah. As soon as somebody says hello on the Facebook, I'll write it down because your videos were short and succinct. Is that right? Succinct? Yes, and they were captivating, and kind of like they're very interesting. I'm anxious to hear more about that, but the videos were great on your website, and you give a lot of great information. You really allow people to take it and say, here, take these tools, and really, I will put your website up. So go ahead. So it's 25 months. You're crawling to the toilet, okay, and back, and you're not really getting better, but you're hopeful.
Yes, just hopeful. And I was just like, at some point, I don't know, I just kept praying for help. I said, sometimes I said, oh God, I know there's a lesson I'm supposed to learn here. I think I've learned the lesson, please. Because when you have a 3 or 4, I know my kids were 2 and 4 when it started, now they were around 4 and 6. I'm like, they need a father, So one day
you had a goal. You had a goal.
Uh-huh.
And that's what you talk about, which you'll mention in a minute. But like you were like, I've got to deal with this. I've got to figure this out.
I had strong reasons to get well, fast.
So that's important. So we'll move to the part where you found Sarno. How did that? Like you spoke to him on the phone.
Yes. So I had another dream. I received in the mail offer for a book called The Book of Inside Information. I said, inside information.
In the book of inside information.
Yes. It was all about inside information you don't usually hear in the news or in the papers or regular books. So I ordered it. I got it. I said, I'm going to check the back pain part because I've read a lot about that. So I open it. Talks about this doctor at New York University that has discovered the pain we have is not actually because of some sort of a spinal abnormality. It's because of repressed anger and rage. He calls it tension myositis syndrome. I looked at that. I'm like, you mean all this pain and disability is because I'm really angry about something?
Wow.
Well, my initial reaction was not me because the extent of disability, but also I had taken in my college psychology course, I learned about people who are type A, tense people. They're the ones who get the stomach ulcers. They're the ones who get the heart attack. And I'm like, I'm not going there. So even as an 18-year-old, I had done a lot of work to control stress, control tension, be in charge, be calm. So it didn't seem to apply to me.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of research on back pain. I thought, let me at least look at Dr. Sarno's book, Mind Over Back Pain, see what it says. I started reading it. And he talks about how reduction of blood flow is causing the pain. I said, okay, it's a warm the area, cold the area. Well, that helps. I said, okay, that makes sense. But of course, it's temporary relief. Then I read the story of some of his patients. I'm like, that may apply to me to some extent. I became very curious, especially when he talks about, you look at their overall other symptoms, like Some have hay fever, migraines, other symptoms. I'm like, yeah, I have some of those. I had hay fever for 17 years. Yeah. So I called New York University because it wasn't still clear for me what I needed to. In fact, I thought I may have to go to New York to see him. I called his office, left a couple of messages. He called me back. I'm like, oh my God, Dr. Sarno, what do I do? These are my questions. He said, well, I have another book called Healing Back Pain. Take a look at that. If you have any more questions, let me know. So
that was it.
I got Healing Back Pain, and I started reading, and I'm like, by the page 21 was the turning point for me. See, Dr. Sarno not only discovered that a lot of these symptoms of chronic back, neck, arm, hand, foot pain, all of these things are due to repressed anger and rage, but they become a conditioned response, what I call a pain habit. In other words, if you sit for 10 minutes, your body is going to reduce blood flow and you're going to feel pain in your back. You move this way, immediately, it's just instant, like a reflex, it will reduce pain. There's nothing wrong with your muscles. There's nothing wrong with your back. There's nothing wrong with your nerves. It's just reduction of blood flow. So when I read that, I said, conditioned response, I know all about conditioned response. You fight it, and break it, and don't give in to the pain. By that point, I no longer feared the pain.
So for 25 months, you expected the pain.
Yes.
It was like you were looking for it, like, Alan Gordon calls it kind of like a hawkeye view. You were looking for it, and there was a spotlight on it, but it wasn't, like, people don't do this on purpose. It's like, well, the pain came first, and then I got anxious, and I'm like, no, the anxiety, the feelings, because it feels that way. Well, the pain came first, and then I got upset. And we have to teach people that in your unconscious mind, because again, Fred, you have a nice life, you have children, you have a job. Like, what was going on? What were you repressing?
Yeah.
What were you repressing? Right. Fred, what were you repressing?
Okay, so when I look at that, I realized that all the little miscommunications I had with my wife was creating a lot of tension inside of me. All the issues I had with my parents, having no boundaries, treating me still like a small child, and just walking all over us, me and my brothers, was creating a lot of tension. Even though, as Dr. Sarno interviewed his patients, all his patients were going like, that doesn't bother me. Oh, not a big problem. Oh, I can handle it. Well, clearly, my body was saying I wasn't handling it properly, even though consciously I was very calm, very reasonable, very logical. But inside, there was a lot of anger. And a lot of that came because I was the second child for the first 16 years of my life. The middle child, I was observing a lot of things that was going on in a dysfunctional family. And I was observer, so I was not directly affected by them a lot of times, but I was watching, holding in. So those were leading to the reduction of blood flow and everything I was experiencing. So when I read about conditioned response, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to sit, because if I sat more than 10, 15 minutes, my sciatic nerve on my right side would start to get irritated. And then if I didn't get up, it gets so painful that it would go into my back, and it would just like, okay, I had to get up and take something for it.
So not to the listeners out there, though, there's the fear pain cycle. And even though you weren't fearing it, there was this other cycle, which again, the brain is very sensitive to cycles. Like once we begin to teach you something, it's going to catch it. Just like we can unlearn pain and learn pain. So you learned pain. Yes. So these people out here, migraines and IBS and other autoimmune disease, it's a similar kind of, because people be like, well, I want my life back. I was well. So it was just a quick cycle of like headaches, dizziness, and migraines and back pain. All of a sudden, I'm in a cycle, and you're like, but I want my life back. So then there's the anger, then there's the fear, then there's the hope. So I can see in how you're talking how you developed this conditional response, even by trying to help yourself. There was this, like, you have to be aware of how our brain protects us. You were giving it a message to protect you, even like you were like, "Come on, body, like you were somehow still giving this message, or it was perceiving something in your unconscious is." So we have to understand ourselves, which is another part of your, your program. Is like you really need to know yourself. And we didn't even mention, I mean, you're from Iran, your parents are from Iran. I mean, talk about the trauma and the intergenerational trauma, living in a country that had enormous transition, enormous flux. That was another intergenerational cellular place that you had to heal.
Yeah.
And being this, good little boy, second in the family, and being kind to everyone, nice to everyone, and inside you're full of rage.
Yeah. That's the case. That's the case.
So
and
you
made also.
I'm sorry.
You made a very important point, and that is expecting the pain does bring the pain. When I was going through my
expecting the pain
does bring the pain. So what happened was, when I sneezed, sometimes people knew I had back pain, would say like, "Oh, that was really hurt," and it didn't hurt, but I didn't want to say no, it doesn't hurt. But then after a while, I sneezed and my back hurt. I'm like, "Oh my God, they were right. It's getting worse." Because now, before it didn't hurt when I sneezed, but I didn't realize at the time that expectation leads to expecting the pain is leading to the pain.
Wow, it's a very important point.
Yeah. So now that I was sitting, I decided, you know what? It's reduction of blood flow. I've sat long time before, other time when I didn't have a choice. Now I'm going to sit. No, I'm not going to let the pain control me. I'm going to control the pain. I sat down and I started reading more of Sarno's book and talking to my kids. But I said, I am not going to fidget. I'm not going to turn. I'm not going to move. I'm just going to be sitting, see what will happen. The pain started, the irritation in my sciatica on my right side. I said, okay, let me see what happens. Then it went into my tailbone. Tailbone started burning after about 10, 15 minutes. It was just burning pain, which I would get up, ice it, take some Advil, anything to get rid of it. But then I said, I'm not moving. This is just reduction of blood flow. I'm going to sit, see what happens. Then it got better. The front of my knee started to hurt. I'm like, wait a minute. Pain is moving around.
Wow.
Reduction of blood flow is just happening to different parts. And after a while, it hit me right here, front of my, I'd never had pain in front of my neck, always in the back of my neck. I'm like, the front of my neck started hurting. I'm like, it's a charade. It's a charade. It's just my brain reducing blood flow. Wow. Now, the reason I did that is because when you first get on your recovery journey, you want to build your confidence. If I, and some people do that. If I had just got out there, started running and jumping and said, yeah, it's nothing, and then I got a lot of pain, I might have got scared myself and backed off, said, no, it's not working. So what I talked about, what I did for myself and my recovery plan is step by step moving in the direction of recovery. Because once I experienced that for myself, I'm like, whoa, then the rest of it should be a lot easier.
Right. And I want to just say to the people out there who are struggling, a lot of these people, they do get relief and then they feel like they won and then it comes back and then they're down for the count. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's almost like you have to believe that the reason why you went down again is there's something else going on. Like it's not because your body doesn't want to get well. The body is not punishing you. It's protecting you. So there's always a reason. I mean, the pain is telling you something. The headaches are telling you something. The IBS is telling you something. The itchiness, the hives. So I think if people, I have such empathy for some people that are struggling and lose their sense. They lose their progression. You mentioned progress, and you're like, yeah, I felt better, so I'm going to be better. But as opposed to, I felt better once, it didn't come back. And now I'm pissed. That's the fear. That's the anger. That's the cycle.
Right. And that's as part of my recovery plan is to keep a daily log of your victories. See, every day you write down in a day. Today I sat a little bit longer. Today I walked a little longer. Excellent. Today I bent a little bit more. Excellent. Nothing, astronomical. Just something that you made progress. Really and you look smart. At that. You remind yourself every day that I'm doing better than I did the day before. Because 6 weeks into my recovery, when I had completely recovered, doubts start to come back. I'm like, oh my God, I had this for 25 months, 6 weeks. Maybe I'll go away. I'll be back to where I was. But I had a log that I reviewed quickly. And I'm like, okay, this didn't happen by accident. This was planned. I took charge of it. I went step by step. It vanish my doubts, and I continue on. So it's a process, but it's doable as long as you have. See, those who fail to plan to fail. It requires a little bit of planning to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to go after this full force. Because if you do make some plans, if you set some goals, some direction, and move in that direction consistently, you train your mind that, okay, I can get rid of this pain, I can recover and live my full life. And you have to go in with the intention to be 100% pain-free. If you leave even a little bit of door open, that subconscious mind will start to work on it.
But I'm just saying, but for the record, to have enormous forgiveness and patience.
Yes.
For little wins. Everyone has their own pace. I mean, like I think part of my little bit resistance with you when I heard about your program years ago was rapid recovery, rapid. Like, I don't want people to get too freaked out or to I want people to put it into perspective. The quick fix is surgery or medicine, but that's not working for lots of people. If you want the quick fix, TMS it can be a quick fix, but ultimately there's a process. And for some of us smart and sensitive people, it will be a journey. And we're not talking about cure. I mean, I wouldn't bring anyone on my show if talking about the word cure, because God cures. Yes. Rapid recovery, I'm okay with, but we have to understand that rapid is relative. How about rapid relative recovery?
Rapid relative recovery.
What do you think?
That's a good one. Okay. Again, what I say, the TMS experience is a great opportunity for transformation and self-exploration.
I love it. TMS experience is a great. Oh yeah, thanks, Fred. I'm really going to see this as transfer, but it can be because it's just a wake-up call. Yes. I always say you're taking a bullet for maybe one of your kids, not literally, but you're kind of learning some big lesson. Everyone's going to get a wake-up call, and you're not drugging yourself or doing stuff to ignore it. You're facing yourself.
Right. And that's the last chapter in my book is all about how I learned to transform myself, learn better ways to communicate, learn to set boundaries with my parents, learn to say no when I need to say no, how to raise my kids with much more effective ways than I was doing. It's a learning experience. It's a transformative experience. If you wanted it to be that way, if you want to take the approach of being a problem solver, you want to take the approach of changing your life for the better. So it can be if you want it to be, but that's when you make that decision. That's why the mindset is so important. If you want to see it as an opportunity to learn and serve yourself, those around you, and others, it becomes that. It's the kind of questions you ask yourself when you're going through hard times. That's what makes a difference. If you study the lives of explorers, discoverers, inventors, that's the mindset they had, and that's what led to some great improvements in our lives today, because they stuck through the hard times, they learned what they needed, the new things, and they changed the world. So see yourself as somebody who can do that, because you never know what your experience will bring good things to other people.
Wow. So basically 25 months later, you're pretty much lowered all your sensations. Your sensitivity was much less to any discomfort, and you got back into your life slowly after 25 months of being immobile. Is that correct?
So what happened is, after that experience of sitting for an hour and a half and managing to do what I hadn't been able to do for more than 2 years, I'm like, wow, this is great. So I kept reading Healing Back Pain, and then I got to the part about treatment. And Dr. Sarno says, talk to yourself, it's knowledge therapy, know that your pain is just reduction of blood flow, is harmless. And then he says, get active, stop physical treatment, and give yourself 4 to 6 weeks for it to get better. And I thought, 4 to 6 weeks. I've had this for 25 months. Last thing I want to do is to have it for one more day. There's no way I can wait another 4 to 6 weeks. Plus, I needed something concrete. I wasn't sure. So what do? You just keep telling yourself it's nothing slowly. I just needed something more concrete. Now, thinking about logically and trying to have an approach that's both fun, exciting, and really works is there are two reasons for my pain, according to Dr. Sarno. One is tension, repressed anger and rage, intense negative emotions. The other one is cognition response.
And negative emotions, these are, let's not call them negative or positive, emotions that cause your brain to go into fight or flight. Because the brain doesn't always differentiate between, like, it could be happy, but it's like the brain doesn't always distinguish. So it's emotions that look, it's how you express your emotions, it's how you process them, it's having compassion. It's like, so, but let's call them emotions that, I'm being picky, but so negative emotions, because anger should be expressed. Fear can motivate us. Fear, it protects us. So it's how we express these emotions.
Right. And I agree with you. I think if you ask most people, tell them, do you consider anger a positive emotion or negative emotion? They probably put it in category of negative. The reason I say that is to counter those, I knew that I need to create a lot of strong, positive emotions. Now, Tovah, can you tell me some strong, positive emotions? Name a few, one or two.
Well, the funny thing was you mentioned, and I want to bring it up now, that because it's one of my heroes, Norman Cousins, and we know that laughter, music, nature will activate the parasympathetic nervous system, will bring more health to the vagus nerve, which is more blood and oxygen. We're just back to blood and oxygen, honestly, and so laughter and is it incredible. So that's not really an emotion. It's joy, compassion, gratefulness. These are all chemicals. These are a chemical reaction, and this is what I love, this Joe Dispenza work and the Bruce Lipton work. I mean, these scientists are kind of like, I know my good friend, Dr. David Clark, is like, well, it's not always science. And, and I'm like, well, you know what? Even Sarno said, I don't care about the studies, it's working. So the point is, but we do know that when we smile, when we love, when we sing, when we hum, when we pray, when we meditate, our brain is calming down. We are tapping into the pharmacy inside of our body that rest and digest the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's we want to live in our parasympathetic nervous systems. That's what you're kind of saying. So strong positive emotions, love, compassion, gratefulness, joy,
excitement, enthusiasm, because what you want to do, what I realized, I needed to create goosebumps. What are goosebumps? Think about it. Say strong emotions causing to a physiological change. Same way that repressed anger and rage, strong emotions, lead to reduction of blood flow, physiological change. Sadness can lead to tears. Again, emotion causing physiological change. So what I wanted to go from counter all the anger, all the rage with excitement and enthusiasm. What I call what Olympic athletes do as peak performance. You see, if you're going for a competition and you're an Olympic athlete, you can go in there like, oh, I had this argument with my spouse. I don't know if I can compete today. You can't. You can go like, when I was 5, my dad beat me. I can't compete today. No. You have to go in with the mindset to keep yourself in the zone so you can compete. Now, it's a very simple process. Even though Olympic athletes are doing, professional athletes do it, a lot of motivational, successful people do it. It's a very simple process. It's how you hold your body, what goes on in your mind, what you say to yourself, what you imagine. For example, let me show you a simple one. You can do it and the audience can do it.
I want to say one thing. I want to interrupt you. Hold on.
Yes, sure.
I'm going to do my job of interrupting.
Sure.
What do you think of this? People are in excruciating pain. They have headaches. They have stomach pains. They're distracted by their pain. How can I get excited? How can I? And part of it is, I think when you take a deep breath and you focus on the breath, you're not focusing on your pain. That I think is science. And if we switch to the laughter or the excitement or the enthusiasm, even if you're faking it, it's like a shift in your brain. And I think you can't have, what do they say? You can't have fear and love at the same, I don't know. There's something about that. I have to get that fact. But like, you got to be able to focus on, it's about focus. And we're back to.
Right.
So go ahead.
Yes. What you focus on daily expands in your life. If you focus on sadness, you focus on your past, you focus on your problems, they're going to expand in your life. You focus on happiness, you focus on gratitude, you focus on a positive future, that's going to expand your life. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but if you constantly do it consistently, a lot of times you see, if you exercise one day, you say, I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. You go for a 10-minute walk. I heard walking is good for my health. And after you walk for one day, I said, that's it. They told me it's good for my health. I walked one day for 10 minutes. I should be fine. Does it work that way? Of course not. Consistently doing something. And that's the important point that leads to great results. Now, at University of California, San Francisco, they did a study for 2 weeks. They had patients on smile therapy. These are clinically depressed patients on medication.
Love it.
They hadn't even put a pen. Keep their mouth out. Just like this. It's hard. I've tried it. Your muscles get tired if you're not used to it. After 2 weeks, these patients who did the exercise got off medication. Why? It wasn't possible. It's just changing their posture.
I love it.
It wasn't they were imagining how wonderful life is. No, just changing your posture. In fact, Tovah, I'd like you try something simple, and also the audience. Put your arms up. Put your head up, look up, smile widely. Now hold that and feel depressed. It's hard to feel depressed when you're in this.
I know. You got that from Charlie Brown. There's like a Charlie Brown, right?
Now put your arms down, put your head down, and frown. And be happy. You can't.
It's true.
I don't want to leave you there. Put your arms up, put your head up, big smile. Say, life is beautiful.
Life is beautiful.
All right. Very good.
No.
Simple act changes how you feel. If you do this consistently, every half an hour, trust me, your life will transform. You're like, wow, I'm handling stress better. I feel better.
And this is what Dr. Hanscom says about don't talk to anyone about the symptoms except your therapist. And the other thing we talked about before the show, because I know some people, they get really upset when their family doesn't support them or their friends, like, it didn't work for 2 weeks, that TMS shit. It didn't work. Do something else. And then they're depressed because they know this is the answer. And then they're not getting the support. And like, it's like, I lost my train of thought. But what I'm saying is, we have to understand that not everyone's going to support us. Not everyone's going to understand us. And about the symptoms, we're talking about the symptoms. That's what I'm saying, because it could be also what Hanscom talks about the obsessive thoughts. We're basically thinking about how terrible I feel.
Right.
So if we can fake it and do what you just did. And again, fake it till you make it. I mean, sometimes it works, because we know about the unconscious mind. If you tell it you're better, it'll start to believe you're better, and that's science.
Makes a huge difference. Now, you're making a very good point. Obsessive negative thoughts, worrying a lot, feeling sorry for yourself. Feeling self-pity, being self-critical. What I've done, I put together a questionnaire, which you can find on fredamir.com, called TMS questionnaire. These are triggers that can lead to more pain and TMS. Because if you worry a lot, you would have negative thoughts all the time. You beat yourself up really bad when something goes wrong. You always feel like, I'm a victim. Nobody loves me. Life is terrible. All of these add up to a personality that leads to more and more tension and pain. And there are options. In fact, in my book, Vanquish Stress, I put 5 very effective ways of dealing with these to overcome them. So it's important to know, not only once you recover rapidly, you have to look at with the external issues that cause tension and internal ones. Because if you don't take care of those, pain is going to come back. So that's why when I went after those 25 months, I said to myself, I don't want to have this ever happen to me again. Yeah. I'm going to go deep into this. I'm going to learn all I can.
You were not negotiating with your brain at all.
No.
There was no negotiation. Doesn't mean your pain went away right away.
But actually, it did. But let me tell you a little more about my recovery.
There was an intention set and a goal. Mm-hmm. And if your thoughts match your intentions, match your behavior, eventually the brain will change.
Will change.
Because you're changing the chemical reactions in your body.
Right. And life is life. For example, my mother-in-law had a stroke one time. That was quite traumatic for us, being in the hospital, being with her. And then 3 weeks later, my mom ended up in hospital in Southern California. I had to fly down there, be with her. So after those 3 weeks of quite a bit of stress, I wake up in the morning, my neck was in pain. Of course, those kind of life events can cause problems. And because I had done a lot of work, I was able to get rid of this pain, and it went away. Then it showed up at night, a weird feeling. In fact, the next day I woke up, the right side of my body just felt weird. It was kind of a pain, kind of irritation. I'm like, okay.
And I want to make a point, a big point here to the audience. Mm-hmm. You knew the process, but the pain came, and you chose to respond to it, because people are like, if they just respond to their pain, that can quiet the brain down. Because it was like, it's like the curiosity. Let's be curious about the pain. Why is it bad? Why is it happening again? And this is because your brain is it's just an organ, the brain. It's a piece of flesh. It's not a machine. And we are in control. And that's what you're saying. We are in control. And I want people to hear how that's what this self-healing is not new age. We are in control of getting sick, and we are in control of getting well. We are in control of learning pain, and we are in control of unlearning pain.
Right. And let me say, if you get COVID or something, obviously that's a different situation. It's an infectious disease. You cut your arm, gets infected. But when it comes to this kind of pain, again, it's important to be, as you said so correctly, you need to be curious. You need to have fun with it. You have anything you can do not to be afraid of it, anything you can do not to let it control you. Say, I work with this rabbi. He's learned it. He made a lot of progress. But there was one piece where he had a problem with. He said, I don't know, somehow when I go home, it just, I have a tough time sitting on different chairs. I have one chair that I can sit in. I said, only one chair in the house? He said, yeah. I said, why don't you sit on the sofa? Well, they heard. I said, well, you are letting pain control you. You need to control the pain. As you said, that's just your little brain here. Just control the pain. Don't let it control you.
Right.
So that's where you need to come and go like, okay, where am I limiting my life? Where am I limiting myself? So that's what I learned from what Dr. Sarno was teaching not to do. So what I did, as I said, started to create a lot of excitement, enthusiasm, started imagining myself to like Rocky the boxer. Again, I said, okay, I'm going to fight this pain I've been wrestling with for 25 months, and it's been beating me. Now I'm going to imagine I'm holding it. Now I'm doing all this while I'm lying down. I'm just lying down, creating all this excitement in here, giving myself goosebumps. At one point, actually, I imagined blood flowing to my arm, and I noticed the muscles are twitching. I showed it to my wife. I said, look, muscles are twitching, just imagining that blood is flowing to my arms.
Wow.
So you can do this little experiments on your own. Go like, just to build your confidence. You go like, it's possible that I can do this. So I imagine myself, I'm Rocky the boxer. I'm fighting the pain. I'm shooting rocks at it. Whatever it takes just to get that out of control. I imagine I'm building barriers, concrete and steel, all around my nerves, all around my muscles, from TMS attacking them. Just whatever works for your visual, whatever works in your mind to protect yourself from pain and get moving.
Wow.
Once that started happening, I set short-term goals. I'm going to try to stand longer, sit longer, bend more. Within the first 24 hours, I was actually, one of the things that was very scary was walking without shoes on bare floor with both legs because my legs couldn't take it. Have to have the cushion from shoes. I started walking. It was painful. It was irritating. It was just killing me. First step, second step, it felt like it was on fire. I kept going. I kept going. I kept going. After 20, 30 steps, oh, it's gone. All these months I was worried becoming paralyzed, and now it was gone. So within 24 hours, I was in the mall shopping, and guess what? My right leg that used to lock up didn't lock up anymore. I'm like, oh, that's gone. Yeah. In 48 hours, instead of being able just to, my goal was to go up 3 steps without pain. I went up 17 steps. Wow. I couldn't believe it. I was scared of coming down from the stairs because I was, how do you come down from it?
But see, and the beauty of it is that once the brain gets it, you can feel the fear and your body won't freak out because you're feeling the fear, you're acknowledging the fear, you're with the fear. I call it having coffee with the fear. It's like scary to have sensation. And then you're also, you know, I mentioned this in a few of my other shows about dialing down the sensitivity. You were aware, you're sensitive, but you were not reacting, and you were sort of hearing the alarm of the body, but it was maybe a 2 or 3. And Gordon talks about this, like dialing down, you know, like hearing an alarm, but like it wasn't bothering you, the alarm.
No, and you know what? Anything that hurt, I made sure I do it more. In fact, I told my body, I said, bring it on. I'm going to sit longer. You're going to hurt me. I'm going to sit longer.
To the brain.
I was hitting my legs harder than the pain. I said, you want to give me pain? I'm going to hit it harder. I was doing a lot of little things. That's a great
technique.
I had one client who was in 2 car accidents, and the story is in my book. And he recovered after 11 years of being in pain and numbness. He could, if he held the phone in his arm would become numb. Move it to this arm, this become. It was just constantly controlled by the pain. He followed my rapid recovery plan. He recovered fully. And then at one point, he told me, look, my hand is turning so much. It was turning blue. The reduction of blood flow was so much, it was turning blue. He said, I've tried all the things you told me, it's just not going away. I said, this is what you do. Take a needle, hold it, don't hit yourself. Hold it, say, if this pain doesn't go away, I'm going to give it a pain that's worse than what you're giving me. He said, it was gone. I said, I know. You need to scare the pain away. Mentally, psychologically, physically. You say, you know, again, the idea is that you want to live a full life. You don't want the pain there. You do whatever. Have fun with this. As you said, be curious.
You know, there's a part I always talk to people about bullying themselves, because sometimes from childhood we were bullied, so we bully ourselves, we hate ourselves, we hate our body. But I always bring this up about Dr. Schubiner's book. In his book, Hidden from View, there's a section about you can bully your brain and say, okay, brain, enough. Okay, I get it. And this woman in his book would journal to her brain. Okay, body, because you know what I say to everyone with utmost empathy, you cannot heal a body you hate, but you can talk to your body and say, okay, let's be friends, let's figure this out. This started from here and it can end here.
Right.
And there's the confidence in your body. I mean, your body is not broken. Your body's speaking to you. So you know, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm going with the idea of the inner child. There's a part of you. It's just a part of you. Like we have different parts of us, and there's a part of you who's throwing a tantrum. There's a part of you doesn't like what's going on. There's a part of you that doesn't want to deal with the important life issues, relationships, whatever it is, and that's what is triggering all this, repression, suppression, that we do of those strong emotions. So what I say is, go at it. You're not going against yourself. You're not saying I'm hating myself. You're saying this part of me that's doing this, just don't do it. And I'll get to that in a minute. But as a part of that, you give yourself a little bit of ice cream. You say, you know what? I'm going to create a new positive association in my brain with not having pain. And part of that is giving myself a little bit of ice cream, giving myself a hot bath, giving me something to make my brain realize, oh, this is better than giving him pain, and stop doing that. So it's a kind of give and take. I'd say it makes you, as I said, change your approach in life. change the way you do things instead of just black and white. This is the way I'm going to do always things. You start to become more flexible, more understanding of yourself, more understanding of your situation, the challenges, make you a stronger person over time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I thank, this, as you said, you need to love that pain. I look back, that was one of the best things that happened to me. Even though it was so difficult, I learned so much, and it's made my life so much more beautiful.
No, that's all about the movie Love Heals. I mean, she said that she would never have expected so much suffering to have to give her the greatest lesson of her life.
Right.
So can you talk about the 3 things, because I liked that video, the 3 things that will delay your recovery?
Yeah, I will get that in a minute, but let me finish what happened with my recovery, and then we get into that.
Please.
So what happened is I start setting little goals. I start walking more, going upstairs, driving easier, sleeping easier. My goal was within 4 weeks to carry both my children, who were about 40 pounds at the time, and I did it in 2 weeks. It felt so wonderful after so many months not being able to do it. And I was planning to take karate lessons. I was always a big fan of Bruce Lee. So I thought, okay, what I wanted to do, as I said, I went at this full force. I said, if I can do karate and I can do all that with all the pain, all the disability I had, that proves to my mind that I can be healthy and pain-free. Now, before that, I had started to work with some light weights just to show my body I can do it. And when I did, it hurt. Anything you do different at the beginning is going to hurt. I didn't fear it. It wasn't because I injured myself. It was very normal. When I took the karate classes, I was just doing the punches and jumping and kicking. All of it hurt. But I knew once I do it 2, 3, 4 times, it'll go away. And it did go away. It's just a matter of getting my brain used to the idea that I can do it. So having exciting outcome and goals that you want to achieve, very important. And also get you excited about your recovery, and small goals you achieve, and keeping a log so you know every day how much progress you made. And as you do, I tell people, give yourself a reward, something that makes you excited about your recovery. Now, after all of these things, after those 4 weeks that I did it, and then by the 6th week I was doing great, I realized my hay fever of 17 years was gone. And Dr. Sarno talks about this in his books. He says one of the things that goes away, because when you have all this tension inside of you, your immune system is on high alert. Now, it is on high alert the whole year, but pollens are around all year long. So when pollens show up in spring, lots of sneezing happens. Allergic reactions happen. So what happened is my immune system, my tension level had gone down so much, I had no reaction to it. I had a heart murmur that I had in different, I've gone from my annual exam that always heard that you have a bit of heart murmur. It's not dangerous. When I went for my annual exam, doctor said, you don't have the heart murmur anymore. I'm like, that was also caused by tension. I had gastritis because I'd taken so many cortisone pills, the NSAIDs. I'd taken so many medications. If I just looked at something sour like orange juice, my stomach used to hurt. Completely gone. Wow. Completely fine. And then this was the biggest shocker for me was I went for to see my ophthalmologist for an eye exam, which I had not gone for more than 2 years because of my back pain. I couldn't sit in the chair long enough. He looked, he said, those reading glasses, you don't need them anymore. I said, what? Without reading glasses, I get headaches. I got to read. He said, no. In fact, I went saw a second ophthalmologist to get confirmation. He said, yeah, you don't need glasses. And that was 30 years ago. I'm like, oh my God.
Unbelievable.
So it is another proof that Dr. Sarno was correct. That it's not just, okay, maybe it was in his head, the back pain. No. Hay fever went away. Gastritis got well. Heart murmur went away. Eyeglasses went away. In fact, Dr. William Bates, who was an ophthalmologist in New York, he wrote the book, Better Eyesight Without Glasses. He talks about the effect of tension on the eyesight. So this amazing transformation in my health was so exciting. I started sharing it with everybody. I started helping people I knew, started doing seminars, workshops. Eventually, I wrote Rapid Recovery from Back and Neck Pain that in April will celebrate its 25th anniversary.
And Vanquish Stress. I love the word vanquish.
Vanquish it. Yes, definitely.
Do you have a copy of that book with you?
No, I don't have it. But what I would say is what people who read this, to my amazement, I was hoping when I write it, one person gets well. But what you can do just to build your confidence, if you go to fredamir.com in the testimonial section, you can read the story of Elsa Howard of New Zealand, who was in a wheelchair for many months, pushed around by her husband, recovered completely. Alan Masterson, at age 70, he started feeling numbness in his legs and has to walk with a cane. He was diagnosed with stenosis, herniated disc. He was scheduled for 2 back surgeries. And he started to follow this program. He said, okay, I'm going to try to go 1 step up the stairs without cane and in pain, 2 steps. Once he started doing it, it's just like, at first it was scary, but then, within 3-4 days, recovered completely, canceled both surgeries.
Unbelievable. Look, I also think it's important. I'm going to stop you because it's important that these people, they trusted you. And I put a plug in for, I tell people but it's much better to trust your therapist or trust your coach, to feel safe, to feel like this is the relationship that can be healthy, that you can be authentic, that you can say what you feel, that you can trust. This is very important when someone is coaching you through this difficult time. And I think these people really, they connected with you, they trusted you, you mirrored who they were. You brought out the best.
I have to interrupt you here because they just read my book.
Oh.
They just read my book and followed the plan.
Unbelievable.
So,
I mean,
now if you go on the coaching page of my website, you can read stories of people who recovered rapidly.
They were inspired by you.
Yes.
Did they ever call you or contact you?
Of course, I wouldn't know about it otherwise.
Right, but I meant, so you did work with them, but these people.
I
read your book. It's amazing.
They read the book, they followed it, they recovered. After the recovery, they contacted me, say thank you for writing the book. It was it touches my heart even talking about it now. Amazing. So again, I'll give you one more example is Christopher Abraham of Toronto, Canada. 7 years he had pain and numbness in his arm. He was diagnosed with RSI. And some of the things I talked about, like he talks about in his testimonial, he says the idea of getting excited, think you're powerful, you're strong, seems so weird that Fred talks about in his book. But when I did it, my pain was less. I said, wow, this looks like it's working. So he recovered completely. He's recovered for more than 20 years now. So again, what I say is
trusting of the body to like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and laugh and be enthusiastic. It's like trusting your body.
It can't hurt. It can't hurt to. What's the worst thing can happen? Like for Norman Cousins, just laugh, be happy. And again, you want to overcome the negative talks that are going on in your head. You want to focus on a brighter future, and it's not going to happen just like that. But if you've done it before, it's easier, because sometimes I'm working with a client, they used to have a very full life, this pain showed out of nowhere, like in my case, and they're like, okay, what do I need to do? Whatever I need to do, I'll do it now to get out of it and move on with my life. Others are in a different place, and that's okay. You may not recover immediately, but again, as you move in that direction, whether you recover in 1 week or 1 month, you're fine. It's doable, and that's what you want to be working on. So that's what it comes down to. So again, those are the options. And when people take charge, take the time, try to work on your mindset, create a lot of positive feelings, set some goals. And I have a collection of videos, rapid recovery video collections on fredamir.com that gives you the basics. Just watch those, design your recovery plan. And if you need more details, they're in the book. But again, options are there. What I say is take charge of your health. And when you do that, you see amazing results start to happen throughout your life. Very important.
So the other thing, the three things that delay, I was attracted to that because I want people to know that there are certain things for the majority of people, everybody's different, that will prolong your healing because what's happening in the brain. And you mentioned them.
Sure. So the first thing is stop fearing the pain. Okay? Don't let the fear of pain control you. Stop fearing the pain. And don't let the pain control you. Because when you start adjusting to the pain, that means you're letting it control you. For example, if you sit, don't move. As soon as you start moving, it'll start to happen. It'll start going, okay, I got him. No, you can't let that happen. If you bend a certain way, that's why I said I kept moving into the pain. Slowly, gradually, constantly. Because if you don't, it says, okay, I'm in control, and the pain will not go away. If you don't do anything else, do this. Keep moving into the pain. What will the pain do when you do that? Tell me.
But look, I have a patient who he lied in bed all morning. He was in so much pain and he didn't want to get up. And
Look, I worked with a client in Israel. His name is Tal. He was in bed practically for 3 years. He was raised by a domineering mother. He was so frustrated by her. He couldn't work. He couldn't have a life. I taught him what I'm teaching you. Within 2 weeks, he was in a restaurant with his friends eating dinner, celebrating birthday. Now, throughout time, back was fine, legs were fine, arms were fine. He started getting a headache. But he knew this is the reason. It's tension. So regardless, wherever you are, start the process and keep at it every day, even if it's a little bit at a time.
And stay with it and stay with it. And like they say, fall 7 times and get up 8. Just this is the way. And we're not against medicine. We're not against surgery. If that's working for you, wonderful. In fact, get the surgery and still do this. Take the medicine and still do this, because this is ultimately your relationship with your body, relationship with your pain, and how your brain will learn how to recover from pain, recover from COVID. You need to be in a healthy relationship with your body. You know?
Yeah.
So go ahead. Fear of the pain. Fear of the pain is one thing that delays recovery. What number 2?
Is letting the pain control you instead of you controlling the pain.
Control you. Number 3.
Tell me, I can't remember it.
Wait a second, I'll go back to it. I'll tell you in a minute. You can't remember it? I'll tell you.
Yeah, I just escaped my mind right now. What was it?
Your mindset? No, your mindset? No, I'm going to remind you.
These are the things that delay recovery.
I know delay the pain. Fear of it.
Fear of pain. Don't let the pain control you.
Oh my God, you're so funny. You're forgetting. It's just, what delays people's pain?
Anything in this brain all left me doing this interview with nothing left. What kind of
impatience?
Or maybe giving up.
I think you give up. I think that believing 100%. There's some of Sarno's believing 100% that it is psychological.
Yeah, could be any of those. But I think, again, if you fear it, number 1, once you start fearing it and start acting like you're in charge, that's what really makes a difference. And that is the huge thing. That's why some people, I know someone who's a carpenter. Oh, he's always hurting himself, banging himself. Pain is not, he gets back pain. He just keeps going. I know his back pain is from TMS, but he just says, it's a back pain. But if you have an office desk, you're not involved in something that causes you pain all the time, like a carpenter would, pain is serious business. Scares you. Scared me. And you're like, oh man, I better be careful about this thing. And there are times you need to be careful. If you work with heavy weights and you may happen to hurt yourself, give yourself 2 or 3 days, make sure it's not an actual physical injury. And there are times when actual physical injury can become a conditioned response. One time I was sparring in karate and getting kicked, my arms, everything. It hurt. And for I gave it 3 days for the pain to get better. I said, go away. After 3 days, it wasn't going away. I said, okay, this is conditioned response. It has to go away. And it did. Now, like anything else you learn, anything else your brain learns, it becomes a habit. Once you learn, for example, how to ride a bike, even if you don't ride a bike for 20 years, you can still get on a bike and ride it because your brain already knows how to do it. Yeah. Once you train your mind to stop the pain, to fight the pain and control the pain, then it can stop it the same way it can stop tears from coming out when you're sad and you're in public. Yeah. Because we all get in a situation where I'm not going to cry here. I'm going to keep my tears from coming out. And all of a sudden, you make a little bit of wetness, it goes away. But what happened? Because you have trained your mind over the years. You don't want to be embarrassed. You don't want to cry in public. Some people say, I just let the tears flow. And that's fine. But we know that is something we can do by controlling the tears, this physiological response through what goes on in your head. So you will learn that the pain comes, you go, so stop it, it'll stop. Now, Dr. Sarno says, yell at it. You can yell at it if you like, but you develop that habit, develop those neural connections that make it possible. Yeah. So there is hope that you can stop those from happening, and even other physiological changes that happen because they are due to tension.
Yeah. Fred, this is amazing. There's a handful of people in the audience that are listening, and if anyone has any questions, we're going to round it up. But I will put on the Facebook page your book, your site, because your videos, there's 8 videos. They were very informative. They could really, really start someone on their program. They could really enhance anyone's program. I recommend everyone to watch them. I really love that you're a Saved by Sarno story because there's so many amazing coaches and amazing doctors and amazing methods. But Sarno was the foundation stone.
Yes.
I mean, he was the rock. He was the and before that it was Louise Hay. Before that it was Norman Cousins. So it's not like it wasn't other people, but Sarno shifted things, and thank God for Michael Galinsky in the movie, and then Dr. Schubert. So many amazing things, and I'm so happy to be on the other end of this medical community with you, integrating with the medical community. We're not here to fight. We're here to integrate. We're here to say that if you can get better with surgery and medicine, please do. But if not, don't lose hope.
Yeah, and I say, people, look at the evidence. Look at if nothing else, look at the science when it comes to treatments. Don't just say, well, doc, I've been there. I've been desperate for relief. I was willing to have anything done. Fortunately, it didn't come to surgery. But again, it's not necessarily a cure, because I've had people who had 2 or 3 back surgeries still in pain because they're not willing to accept the TMS. And that was what they picked. That's what the path they chose. And there are people who just can't comprehend the whole concept of TMS.
Exactly.
They have a tough time making that connection between the emotions causing a physical change. Yeah. And there's not much you can do for them, I can do for them. What I can say is keep an open mind. Try something new and see what happens. And if it works for you, all the better.
Fred, we'll meet again. We'll meet again for sure. There's more to talk about. And I'm really happy to, this is the first show since Rose passed, and in her merit, in her angelic space hovering over us, I am thrilled to have you join us as the next chapter of the show with me as the host, and maybe sometime we'll host again and we'll bring somebody on to talk about your rapid recovery, rapid recovery relative to yeah. About I just posted this last week about the person who had a nail in his boot, and he freaked out and the nail was between his legs, and the person who had a nail in his chin, he didn't even know it was there until it pierced his brain. So everyone has their own way, that because of how we were brought up, because of how we dealt with growing pains, or because of how we dealt with a needle as a kid, or because of what we saw our parents, we all have a different relationship with pain. And this is why it's such an individual process. But everything, there's so much we can learn here from your program, and there's so much we can incorporate. And the healing can happen. And and like I say, like nothing is impossible, and the body makes pain, the body gets well. And they say, like, even this is a statement from some of the rabbis here, the body had the solution before the problem. So you're well, your body is constantly striving towards wellness. So it wants to be well. This is what it's primed for. Even in the fight or flight and the gathering and the it's striving for calm. And so we have to have that relationship with it. So in the merit of all the people that are on their journey, we are here. I mean, Fred, this will be on our YouTube. I'll send it to you. You are available. If anyone has any questions after the show and wants you, they can send to me or directly to you, and you will answer them. And as a guest of the TMS Roundtable, and
they can just email. They can either go to the contact page on fredamir.com or email we care, and we really care.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and you know what? Whenever I contacted you, you answered right away. So if anybody wants Fred,
I try.
His bot will say, we care. We'll get back to you, but he gets back to you right away.
We care at fredamir.com, and we will get back to you as fast as we can.
Definitely. Fred, I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you for your hour today. And we'll think about coming on again with maybe one of your clients to talk a little bit more about your program. Because I love that too. And I'm so happy that you're back to karate and lifting your children and grandchildren. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that is wonderful.
So
and I thank you for
day.
Thank you for
time.
continuing. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.